and goes past Miga Bay Pond. It makes a dip to the south, and it cuts into some of the last remaining farmlands in that area. Is that final proposed lane, is that open to be moved further south? We have this stigma that we don't want to cut into wetlands. But if you listen to the people that live here, that pen cows and run into the back of that land, we call that area swamp. So there is a difference between swamp and wetlands. So is there a consideration that the actual route can be changed to the edge of the swamp, not the wetlands? Because you're calling it wetlands, and the elders in the district that walk that area will tell you the swamp, the wetlands is further north, closer to the sound area, the protected areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bodden.
Yeah, so we certainly included an optioneering evaluation as part of the draft environmental statement. And that optioneering evaluation included looking at a number of different elevations and different storms. And so, as we mentioned earlier, we will also be included as part of the final statement an even lower elevation for the roadway that would still provide positive drainage and resiliency.
I hope that answers your question, Mr. Bodden. Mr. Robert Bodden. Next up is Mr. Osborne Bodden with his question.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for this presentation and the hard work that's gone into it. That second to last question was mine. And I'm sorry it gave you so much difficulty, but I asked that question because when I walked in this evening, I was like Minister Rankin. I almost walked out because when I saw the time frames and the amount of money, I was like, well, I'll be dead. My kids won't be able to drive anymore. License will be pulled, and my grandkids will be old people as well. If that was going to be the time frame, but I was made to understand that that was not really the distance for the 8 miles. That was really the foreseen build out in the width. But the way it was presented, it was quite scary. And of course, the $1 billion also was quite scary. But we've come to find out that that can be a lot less. So with that introduction to what I want to say, I have felt this pain that you've heard here tonight. All of us in the Eastern Districts have felt this. We've seen where when an accident happens, we can't go anywhere. We've seen tourists living in the north and east and Bordentown can't get to the airport and miss flights. We've seen all of the difficulty associated with terrible traffic. I have to wake my granddaughter up at 5 in the morning for her to get to school on time. And the quality of life, leaving home in dark, coming back in the dark, as Minister Rankin said, is real. So we have no choice but to have a second road. I was saying to some of the consultants when I came in that if you look at these islands, the 3 islands I'm talking about, the only part of these 3 islands that doesn't have 2 ways in and out is between the Hearst Road and Frank Sound. You have the bypass right here, the Anton Bodden bypass, but that's just a small area. But if you think about it, we have 1 route in and 1 route out, and it's the only part of the 3 islands that is like that. West Bayers have 2 routes. Eastenders can go around, Northsiders can come around, but Bordentown, between Frank Sound and down here, we cannot do anything once that road is blocked. We have a serious issue. Now, I was a part of the government that did the first east-west bypass. And that was done, and I'm very, very saddened to know that 15 years later, or more, we are still here having to deal with trying to get this road put through. Because from the time that was done, the vision was to have it extended up to Frank Sound. And the corridor was preserved. The corridor has been changed somewhat towards Frank Sound. I'm not sure why. It dips down and goes down into some of the farmlands. Not sure why that is. But the original corridor looked like it made sense to me. That's the purple line that I saw on the map. But the other thing I want to say is that our strongest storms historically come from the south. Ivan came from the south. The road was damaged in some areas, South Sound, Bordentown areas, whatever, but it was quickly repaired and we were back in business in no time. Why are we looking at doing a road on the north side, which has a significant buffer before water? Why are we looking to make that road the ungodly height that I see proposed? That makes no sense to me. That road can be at surface level. Those pretty red bridges can be gotten rid of. I understand that that's about half of the cost that we're talking about. And we can have a road that can get us from A to B, and it can be built out over time. So I beg you guys to please, let's focus on what's possible and not what is impossible and totally expensive and prohibitive.
Thank you, Mr. Bodden. And your comments brings us to our final question of the evening, which comes from Slido. The question asks, why can't the cheaper option be done first and then increased over time?
That's actually the intention of the NRA, is to build this in a phased approach, economically first and expand it as needed in the future based on demand and available funding.
Thank you very much. All right, everyone, we'd like to thank you this evening for attending. Please remember that you can submit your comments on the draft environmental statement using any of the following options. In writing, you can leave your comments on some cards on the tables that are here tonight as well. You can send your comments electronically to doe.gov@gov.ky. You can also mail your comments to the Department of Environment at P.O. Box 10201. KY1 1002 is the postal code. And finally, you can hand deliver your comments to the Department of Environment that's located on the North Sound Road. Please be safe on the roads, and thank you for coming out tonight.